go stand there.
Beautiful. That's good. Ready to rock and roll? Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys being here today. I'm excited for this appointment right now. Honestly, welcome to your doctor's report. It's probably one of the most beneficial appointments you'll have here in the clinic because really my goal and my intention today is really help you transform your health and send you the greatest, give you the greatest health you've probably ever had. And so in taking a look at that today, the reason why you're in a group right now is because the information just pertains to each and every one of you. And so I appreciate you being here right now. My goal and intention actually right now is to actually turn you to the doctor, okay? And so I'm going to be going over some x-rays right now. I'm going to be going over some good x-rays, some bad x-rays. None of your x-rays are up here. I would never do that to you. But if I can help you understand exactly how to rehabilitate your nervous system through understanding what a proper x-ray should look like and how to get there, then I can help you really achieve the health and the goals that you came in here with, okay? But here's the thing though, if I was to just pull up your x-rays, show you exactly what's going on, say do these exercises and things will get better, I feel like I've done you a bit of disservice, okay? And the reason for is because as a doctor, the word doctor actually means teacher, okay? And so I take a look at my role then as a doctor is to really to teach about health. And I believe that it doesn't matter who you see. If you see a chiropractor, if you see an oncologist, a cardiologist, or a pediatrician, I believe that the goal of healthcare and the mission of healthcare should be to help you guys get well, get off medications, and stay well for the rest of your life. Would you agree? Yeah. How would you suggest that our current healthcare model is doing with that currently right now? Not so good.
Yeah.
Last, right?
Yeah.
It can feel a little bit the opposite. And that's my concern. My concern is that I'm finding more and more people are questioning the things that are happening these days, and what we're finding is that at the end of the day, people are being told to that you're fine, just keep doing what you're doing, and you end up one day in a situation where you're forced with a decision on a drug, surgery, or medication, and this is the only band-aid effect we have for you at this point in time to help you get well, right? And that's kind of our current model at the moment. And if I was to really tackle that for a second, one of you here is from our workshop today, so one of you know the answer, but you take a look at the statistics then on that in this country here, okay? CDC did a study out of 1,000 people these days. How many of them are actually making it to the age of 60 in good health, no pain, no medication?
Probably 10%.
10%. 10% is a good guess. What was the answer? Doug, do you remember what the answer was?
1%.
The answer was actually 1, but it wasn't 1%. It was 1 out of 1,000.
0.1%.
Yeah, 0.1%. And here's the problem with that, right? Is that means that if all of us just continue to walk down the same way of life that everybody else is, then where do we all end up? The same place everybody else is, right? And that's the problem, is that future projections right now are suggesting that 1 in 3 people by the age of 65 will be in a nursing home. The average person over the age of 65 is on 13 prescription drugs in this country alone, right? And that's the problem. The problem is that we have been raised in a don't fix it till it's broke kind of society, and we end up waiting for the wheels to fall off before we really take care of our health. And that has become a big problem. A few of you maybe have heard of me say that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. The fact of the matter is that when we can maybe do something in the beginning to start moving our health in a positive direction, we can maybe not become one of the norms, right? One of the status and so on and so forth with that. And that would be our goal. But here the biggest thing is that today, my goal here is to say like, hey, wait a second, let's not be like everybody else said. Let's start moving in a better direction. Because the fact is that, you take a look and our constant, our regular attitudes towards health, how many of you guys live in the South? Okay, so a few of you might drive by the South Hills campus. I drive by the South Hills campus in Sundance every single morning on my way to work, okay? And here's the problem is every single morning I drive by that and I look on the side of that building there and it says South Health, right? And the word health is written on the front board. But if I was to walk in there today, and today I walk into the hospital and I say, you know what, I don't have any pains, I don't have any problems right now, I'm just really looking to be 100 years old and healthy. Is there somebody I can talk to in here? No, that person doesn't exist. That room doesn't exist, right? And that's just it, is that we have been given a healthcare model that is actually a crisis care model. And in crisis, it's excellent. right? And at the end of the day, if you're in a state of crisis, then that's the place you need to be. And if I walk outside the door right now and I get taken out by a bus and my bone's sticking out of my leg and my heart stops beating, like now is not the time to bring me inside and get me adjusted or find a chiropractor, right? Like now is the time to get me to a hospital. And thank heavens we have an emergency system like that. But the problem is that all too often now what we're seeing is that when we've waited for these times, when we walk into these hospitals, typically we're in a dire strait, and at that point in time, we're given a quick bandage and sent on our way. And I just don't want that from your patients, okay? I want you guys to live the best health you possibly can. And here's the problem is that more so than that, you take a look at what's actually leading the sicknesses in this country. We talked about it before, right? What are the top 2 leading causes of death in this country? Cancer and
Diabetes.
heart disease. Okay? Cancer and heart disease. Okay? Respectively, 80,000 and 70,000 people a year here in Canada. Okay? And yes, at the workshop, we talked about diabetes climbing on the list. But here's the thing, is that actually these days, here's the crazy stat, is that did you know that in this country, just from medical error, 165 people die every single day? So that's like a bad hospital infection, a wrong diagnosis and a prescription drug or so on and so forth, right? And that's just it, is that we take a look at that and we put a lot of health and faith into a system that continually just masks these symptoms and pushes us down the road like that. And one never leads to none anymore, right? For those of you who had experiences and so on and so forth, then I've had my own experiences. And that's exactly where one of you knows about it. I'm gonna tell you my story this morning, but the point is that I want you guys to live the best health you can, and we need to start changing the course of our direction. And if everybody else is doing this, then we need to do something completely different if we really expect to be above and beyond the expectations of what health is inside society. Does that make sense? Right? And so when we take a look here, we're gonna focus on health. And really, if you take a look at the word health, there's a core word inside of that that's actually right in between it. What's the word I'm looking at? Heal, right? And really, health is about how your body's designed to heal, because where is all health controlled inside your body? Right here, right? So your brain and your spinal cord are controlling everything, right? Your brain and spinal cord are the main controlling systems in your body that are helping you to heal at any given moment. The fact of the matter is, every single day, your body's healing by your brain and spinal cord. So do you know that your heart is actually regenerating and will regenerate itself completely in 90 days? Your lungs in 120 days. Your skin every 14 days. Your body's constantly regenerating and healing at any given moment. Did you know your body fights off upwards of 10,000 cancer cells every single day? It's kind of crazy to think, right? But your body's constantly in a state of healing. It's always doing it. It's all controlled by our brain and our spinal cord. And so if this main system is so important, then what should we do? Should we maybe take a look at it, make sure it stays healthy? Right? That would be the goal anyways, right? So that's why here we take a look at what your spine should look like, right? We take a look at your spine, and your spine, we talked about this last time, right? This should be a review for most of you guys. What should your spine look like? You got it. Perfectly straight from the front, 3 curves from the side, okay? And the problem is those that sometimes we beat this thing up, and we stress, and we get stuck at desk jobs, and we get into car accidents or sporting accidents growing up, and my kids play gymnastics and they wipe out, and we have these cell phones that occupy all of our attention, and we beat our spines up and we shift the spine into place. And here's the thing, is when we shift the spine into place, if I take the spine like this and I bend it over like this, what is happening to the spinal cord at this point in time? It's bent off, it is stressed, it is put under a state of tension, and because of that, that shuts down or inhibits that healing to heal it 100%. And these are the nerves right here that are traveling out to all these different organs, right? Then these nerves right here, if this is the nerve T2 that travels out to your heart, now take the nerve that travels to your heart, and I was to cut that nerve in half, what happens to the heart? It's not going to function, right? You got it. Actually, if you cut that nerve in half, it's like unplugging it out of the wall. It's dead, right? It doesn't beat anymore. Now dial that back a little bit, because people don't go around cutting those nerves in half. But what if instead we just dial that back, we just put some pressure on it based on this, based on stress, based on a shift over the spine or a segmental shift out of alignment, right? Causing grief to that. Today, is that heart going to start functioning worse? You bet. And tomorrow's functioning worse, and the next day, and the next day. But here's the thing, today we don't feel that symptom, and maybe tomorrow you don't feel that symptom. But 20 years down the road from now, we've got a heart attack, we've got high blood pressure, we've got these different things, and all of a sudden we're trying to master those things, and we're put into life or death situations sometimes, is the unfortunate side of things. And wait a second, let's just stop all that. What if we could go back 20 years and find out exactly where that stress lies, take that stress off of that nerve, and allow it to heal properly? Does that make sense? Right? And that's the exact kind of thing that we're going to look at today, we're going to talk about, right? That's the basic principle right there, is that your body's designed to heal, and we want to make sure your nervous system is doing that job, right? Because here's the thing, is that, so we take a look at that. If your nervous system controls everything, then we want to make sure it's always healing. the point is that lots of us don't think about that. Case in point, perfect. So this is a picture of my family right here. Yeah, Doug, I know you've heard this story right here. Well, this is my 3 little girls. I'm missing my son. I'm gonna have to add a new image here right away. But this family right here, okay, so 11 years ago, I was that guy who wouldn't go to the chiropractor because I didn't know why you'd wanna go. I didn't see the value of it. I'd never been injured or had neck or back pain, right? But what happened was that when I got married to my wife, in a very short period of time, was having headaches 3 days a week that would wipe her out. She'd be putting a blanket on her head. I've been raised my whole life to go to the cabinet for anything that you could possibly need to help take care of the symptom, right? So I'd be going to the cabinet for her, grab her some Advil, some ibuprofen, some Tylenol, whatever it might be, to help her get rid of these pains. And we went on this road for some time. And these are the kind of headaches that, like, she'd be in tears, she'd be at home, she just needed a dark space, so on and so forth. And this is a regular recurrence. And here's the thing, is in all of our attempts to help her get better during that point in time, as opposed to getting better, she started waking up in the morning with stomach aches as well. And these stomach aches turned to a point where she ate food throughout the day, her stomach was so inflamed that her bowels would completely back up and she'd be in the bathroom for 30 minutes following that. Okay, and this became a regular occurrence for us. And here's the thing, is that in the beginning you say, hey, no problem, we're doing okay. But it got to a point where she wasn't going to work anymore. We were going to the gym, we stopped going out to dinner together, and my family was now calling me and saying, hey, your wife is always sick. And it was at that point in time, the same thing as everybody else, right? What is typically happening? The wheels are falling off, so we're like, what do? Go to the doctor. Right? We go to the doctor, we go sit down, like, doc, we're having some real problems here. He's like, hey, you've got IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, and these headaches. I can give you this medication, but we're like, no, we've been down that road. Can we get to the cause of this, right? Like, what's causing all of this? Let's fix it. And he's like, I need to send you to a specialist. Now, you've waited for a specialist before? Especially in this country, right? You got it. We're 4 months down the road before we finally get in to get a colonoscopy done. And the problem is they can't find anything wrong. And as soon as that happens, like, well, let's go to the next test then. So we wait another couple months, we get an allergy test done. Okay, we fast forward another few months, and 6 or 7 months down the road now, we're getting a scan of her brain because they think it's all in her mind at this point in time, right? And not one single doctor can find anything wrong. What happens is my young wife at that point in time slipped into such a bad place that she was depressed, she was anxious, she can't sleep at night, digestive issues, headaches, and my wife at 23 years old is on 6 prescription drugs, taking a handful of pills. Okay, and that was health to me at that point in time. And it wasn't until a colleague of mine one day was like, hey, you need to take your wife and go see my chiropractor. And I was like, dude, I've been to 2 chiropractors, that hasn't worked for us. And he's like, no, you need to go check this guy out, he's a little different. And I remember going and sitting down right in your chair right there with my wife at the doctor's board, listening to this doctor explain how your nervous system is designed to heal your entire body. It is all controlled by your brain and your spinal cord. And so therefore we take a look at this thing, and you've got a structure that's designed to house this thing called your spine. As you know, we talked recently, your spine should be straight, 3 curves from the side, right? And so when we take a look at an x-ray, then your spine should have this nice curvature to it, good healthy disc space in between. Gravity line should be here, I'll explain that here in a second. And then from the front though, should be nice and straight all the way up, right? Hips nice and level, shoulders nice and level, okay? And so when he pulled up my wife's x-ray at that point in time, what do you notice about my wife's x-ray?
Straight.
You got it.
It's like mine.
It's lost the curves. So at 13 degrees right there, it is lost over 2/3 of that normal curve that's supposed to be there. And here's the thing, the further you away from that 45 degrees, the further away from health you're going to be at that point in time. And so because of that, here's the thing, we talked about what's happening to the spinal cord at this point. It's being stressed, right? Let me show you what that anatomically looks like. They did a scan of this, okay? And a cross-sectional showed a nice round spinal cord right here, allowing all the nerve supply to happen from your brain down to the rest of your entire body in a spinal cord that looks like this. What happens is you lose the curve like that, and what happens? It tethers it out. Okay, that tethers it out. When it tethers it out like that, that constant tension on that spinal cord now, any sort of shift in your spine is where you start to experience that nervous system dysfunction. Now what's happening is your body's in a state of stress, fight or flight, right? We talked about fight or flight at the workshop, everybody's sort of fight or flight. Bear comes in the door, fight or flight activates, and because of that, cortisol runs high in your body. Well, cortisol turns off all the healing inside your body. And so therefore your bowels and your immune system and everything is shut off if we're in a state of stress. Difference is that your body doesn't necessarily realize the difference between the bear coming through the door right now and your spine being in a state of constant stress based on tethering out that spinal cord. Because in this place right here, your spine can be tethered out by 5 to 6 centimeters. Okay, and that becomes a big problem. So when that doctor sat down at that point in time, he's like, regardless of anything you've got going on right now, he's like, your body is not healing the way it's supposed to. And he says, we need to work this, and we need to get the spine to look like this again. Okay, and I was like, okay, that makes sense to me. How do we do that? He's like, we're gonna make it happen. We'll get you started here. We got you rolling. We started getting her adjusted. She started seeing changes. In fact, what was crazy is that she started getting adjusted there. Within 3 weeks, those headaches completely disappeared. After 3 months, she came off of every single one of her medications that she was originally on. All 6 of them, she was medication free after 3 months. And what was really cool is that fast forward 6 months down the road, they did a follow-up X-ray. How much better do you think her spine was healing at that point in time?
That's her neck.
That's her neck. That's my wife's neck.
There.
You got it. Way better, way better.
Oh, way better.
Right? Absolutely.
So I can look like that.
And so therefore, that's the goal, right? Because here's the thing, in this day right here, with the spinal cord working the way it was here, her body's healing the best it ever been, and she felt the best she'd ever had in her entire life. And that was amazing. And that inspired us so much that we actually went off to school. We both moved down to the States, went to school, and fast forward several years and lots of kids. Now we're back in the clinic. And that's just it. It's such a basic principle, but we get to see this kind of thing happen all the time here in the clinic. Okay? And so that's our goal. And the basic premise beyond what we're going to do today. So I'm going to show you a few other examples here today. But the fact of the matter is that at any point in time where your spine has become shifted, it's lost that curve, it's shifted over like this. This is what we call subluxation. Vertebra out of position, causing stress in the alignment, really putting stress on your nervous system. Specifically, whenever you stress this vertebra, what happens is these discs will swell up. Okay, the muscles become extremely tight. That's actually what shows up on your EMG scan that you guys all got, your colorgram, right? On top of that here, it inflames the joint, but really causes that nerve interference. And that nerve interference interferes with the central nervous system's ability to self-regulate, self-organize, adapt, repair, and heal. And here's the problem is that if there's subluxation in your spine, where do the nerves in your spine go to?
All over.
You got it. Every organ, tissue, cell in your entire body. It is all controlled by this. And any single place where we've got subluxation, then slows down the healing problem. And the problem is that we get all these individual organ tissue cells here that can then have problems. And if that's the case, we get all these effects of misalignment happening right there. And that's exactly where we get into this habit of masking these things. We put band-aids on things to which instead, if we could just go back to the root cause, your body's designed to heal. Does that make sense? And that's my goal for you guys, is really to get out of that habit. So here's the thing, is that I want to be crystal clear with you guys. Like one of my good friends is actually a medical doctor. I have a sister that's a nurse. And like I said, in a state of crisis, they're there for you. But when it comes to doing long-term health, we need to rely less on these masking symptoms and start getting to the root cause and start living the way they're designed to, right? And that comes with fixing our nervous system. But that also comes with, like, if I fix your nervous system today, but you McDonald's every single day for the rest of your life, or do you still see a limitation in health there? Right? And that's the thing. And that's why we operate here as a 5 essential clinic, which means we're going to educate you on nutrition and exercise and removing toxins and living your best life. Today we're going to focus on the nervous system, but health is an active thing that you take care of for the rest of your life, because that's where we get to see people shine. Okay? And so with that being said, right here, as we take a look, try to jump too far there, your scan should be nice and wide like this, right? So this is a nice normal scan right here. This is what you're all achieving right here. Okay, your spine from the side, nice 3 distinct curves right, or nice distinct curve right there. Okay, 45 degrees. On top of that, the center of gravity line is measured off your solid tersica. Okay, should come straight down. That's your center of gravity. The reason for, how many of you guys have been bowling before? Okay, bowling. Yeah, you go bowling. You hold a bowling ball right here, right? And it's relatively okay. You can hold like this for a long time. But if I move that bowling ball from here to here, is that heavier? Absolutely. So for every inch your head is gone in front of this area right here, this line right here, is an extra 10 pounds of pressure sitting right there on your spine, your nervous system, and the rest of your body, okay? Because gravity is constantly pulling straight down. So I'm going to show you how to combat gravity today. But then on top of that, your spine should be perfectly straight from the front. And then your atlas bone right here is the one that sits right next to your brainstem. So it's kind of really important, because that brainstem controls your autonomic function, your digestion, your sleep patterns, your blood pressure, so on and so forth. We want to make sure that one's always nice and aligned, because that's exactly where the very first, all these organs, all this nerve supply happens from the brain, has to enter right through there first. So you see how this is why doctors call this the arc of life. It's so important because everything is flowing through here. So we focus a lot on that. We are going to look at the rest of the spine, obviously, but we focus a lot on this because that's where we literally see major health changes. Okay. Problem is, though, is that at some point in time in your life, you stressed your body and you subluxated your spine. When do you think was the very first time you might have subluxated your spine?
As a kid falling out of a tree.
Okay, as a kid falling out of a tree. Good example. What else?
Poor posture all the time.
Poor posture, for sure. So it could be a daily thing, absolutely. How about birth? Right? We go right back to the very, very beginning. The fact of the matter is that lots of normal births, the baby comes out like this, and the birth was beautiful, home birth, everything like that. All of my kids were born at home, right? We want to make sure it was natural as possible. The fact of the matter is that even what they call natural birth these days aren't always all that natural. Baby gets stuck, we've got to turn the baby's head, push the shoulder down, and pull on baby's head. Baby gets really stuck, we're going to use the forceps or the vacuum, or baby gets really stuck, and now we're going to cut the baby out. Right, so at a very, very early age, all of a sudden that kind of tension right there could have shifted this one bone, your atlas bone, off of place. You see how this right here over the course of the next 20 years could cause a problem, right? And that's just it. That's why we check kids. If you were here yesterday, I saw 3 babies yesterday, right? And that's exactly why we check families here, is because at any point in time in our life, we stretch our spine, and that's where it enters into these stages here. So depending on when your shoulder extension first started regularly impacting your health is where your spine is today. So a normal spine right here, you can see the normal spinal cord, nice and thick like that, space on the other side. But right here, stage 1, what's happened to the spine here? Is straight. And what's happened to the spinal cord because of that? It's stretched, exactly. So is the nervous system functioning 100% or less than? Less than. So if that's the case, then there's an element of stress associated with all these signals here. Is this person going to build health or sickness over the course of time? That makes sense? Does it matter what this person is feeling at the moment? Does it matter what kind of symptoms they have? If your spine looked like this, would you not want it to look like this? Absolutely, right? Because even if it's healing and functioning, and even if there's no symptoms, big thing, even if there's no symptoms right here, okay, because 80% of the time it's symptom-free, but it's 100% correctable, right? And that becomes a concern because when we leave this right here, right now, today we have no symptoms, but we already know there's stress on the nervous system, and every single year, this will get 7% worse. And so 7% worse now, fast forward, if it took 15 years to get to that position right here, 20 years right here, now what we can start to see is that gravity is consistently on that bowling ball right here. We pull it forward right here. So what's going to happen? The discs start to collapse and the bones actually fan out. And they actually develop more bone. That's where these little claws start showing up. That little white claw, you can see that right there? That's what arthritis is, okay? And so lots of times people think, well, arthritis is just an age thing. You know, and that's always an interesting question because someone says, you know, like, well, I've got arthritis in my one knee because of age. And I'm like, well, how old's the other knee if it doesn't have any arthritis? Right? Like your arthritis is based on stress to your body, stress on your body. So therefore we take a look at this, where does the stress lie? Well, here's the thing, this forward head posture right here has led to so much stress over the course of time, and you take a look at the corresponding spinal cord, and that's under a lot of tension right there. That subluxation is rapidly robbing this person of complete health, and the problem is, I don't see a ton of stage 3s, but you can see how stage 3 is really bad, yes? The spinal cord is completely under tension, the arthritis is significantly bad degeneration. Why don't you think I see a lot of stage 3s come to the clinic here?
Probably haven't gone to the hospital and had operations.
You ought to get in.
You got it, right? And I don't mean to be insensitive for you that might have relatives in a nursing home, but what's the average posture in a nursing home even? Right? Completely hunched over, like they're stuck in this position. They're not moving here. They've had this for so long. There's such neurological degeneration at this point in time that their bodies are literally deteriorating. And those are the people that are taking a look at this treadmill every single day, trying to figure out how to mask and move on to one next day, right? No one gets there and says, hey, this is the place I was supposed to be at, right? No one. And I want to make sure we never have to go there because eventually I even had a couple of them, people have come in and their spines have been fused based on how long they've been there for. And so our goal is like, hey, let's avoid this altogether. Let's start moving this nervous system forward. Let's get your body to a place where it's going to function at its highest capacity. Here's the thing. So we want to avoid this. We want to prevent this from getting any worse. And if it's right here, we want to get this as close back to 45 degrees as possible. But it took 15 years to get there. How long does it take to fix it then?
3 months.
Luckily, it's not 15 years, right? But yes, it does take a little bit less time than 15 years for sure, but a spine in this position right here has taken a long time, and so therefore between 6 to 18 months and upwards of 5 years, depending on where your body is at that point in time, okay? On average, between 6 to 18 months, we can see some really, really significant change in your nervous system, okay? Here's the thing, case in point, you put braces on your teeth today because your teeth are crooked. Do they straighten them right out, back to perfect straight on the very, very first day and say, you're good to go, come back tomorrow, we'll take those off and put a retainer on them? No, what would happen? Your teeth would fall out, right? And that's just it. The same thing applies here. So here's the thing is that we want to really get this moving. There's a concept here, it's called time under tension, okay? And we want to make sure every single day, same thing with braces, they're on every single day, and every day we tighten them up a little bit to get them moving in the right direction. Does that make sense? And so therefore, same thing. If we've got to rehabilitate your spine and your nervous system here to make this work properly, we're not just dealing with the spine. we're dealing with all the muscles, ligaments, and tissues, all the soft tissue around it as well, that have been in their current position for a long, long time. And so to really, we take a look at this momentum, it's kind of like a train moving this way. We got a train to this point right here, we got to turn that train around and push it back in the other direction, okay? And so with that requires some intensity. People with a loss of curve rate in stage 1 or worse can see me upwards of 3 and even 5 days a week in the beginning to really get the momentum rolling, okay? To turn that around. Here's the thing, is that even at 3 days a week though, that still leaves 4 days a week where you're back at what? Work on. You're doing it at your work, you're sitting at your desk, and so on and so forth, re-subluxating your spine, bending it back out of position. That's why your adjustments in the beginning only hold between 12 and 48 hours in the beginning, because you have so many postures that you do every single day. Today I get you an adjustment, you're standing up straight, the next day though it's right back to here right there. So we gotta get you adjusted again. But so that's exactly why instead, we've also implemented these home exercises, and everybody goes home with a home care kit, because I find that if you can do your exercises 7 days a week combined with your adjustments, we radically improve how fast your body's able to rehabilitate and get back to a better place, okay? And that's a fact, is that when we very first opened this clinic, we didn't have any exercises, and we would see 10 degrees of change in the space of a year, okay? Now, a good person that comes and does their exercise on a regular basis, we can see even 10 degrees in the space of a month. So I can't emphasize how important it is to make sure that rehabilitating your nervous system is a daily thing, to make sure that your body gets back to the best possible place. And eventually what will happen is, as we move you down the road from 3 times a week down to 2 times a week down to 1 time a week, the eventual goal is that we get your spine back to a place where it's going to heal and function at its greatest capacity, and then keep it healing like that forever. Does that make sense? And so with that being said, I just want to go over just a couple x-rays here, and then we'll jump back and look at yours. I had a lady come in here. She listened to this and she was like, you know, I really want you to come and speak at my church. And I was like, I'd love to come and speak at your church. And so we set up a time, we came in, we brought lunch for them actually, and we sat there and we talked to the church. And I remember sitting here and talking to this church here, teaching them about health and healing and proper principles there. And a lady in the audience came up to me afterwards. She's like, you know what? She's like, I've been trying some things and I really need to come and see you. I was like, no problem. So we sit down in the clinic here, and I'm sitting there and she's telling me about this neck and back pain she's been having for years. Now always some of my first questions are, okay, what have you been doing to manage this neck and back pain? She says, well, I've been seeing a chiropractor. And I was like, I love that answer, right? That's an amazing thing. I was like, tell me, how long have you seen your chiropractor for? She said, I've been seeing my chiropractor for 15 years. I'm like, okay, but you're still having all these concerns right here. And I remember taking a look at her paperwork as well. She's on a blood pressure medication, she's on a thyroid medication, she's on a bladder medication. She's got all these different concerns going on. I was like, I don't understand what's going on. Let's take an x-ray of your spine here. And I remember taking a look at her x-ray, and what do you see in the x-ray? Okay, your neck, not you. But that said, taking a look at this right here, would you be a little frustrated with if your spine looked like this after 15 years? Right, 15 years in chiropractic care. That was a concern, and I was like, how is this possible? Because you had degeneration, completely lost the curve here. I was like, tell me, I'm not putting it together. What do you think is going on here?
What do I think? Well, are you asking us?
Sure.
I have a theory.
Okay.
Her chiropractor lives in the sky and she's praying to God.
Okay.
I would say he's adjusting her
Interesting.
down here, but he's not
Fair.
adjusting her up there.
That's hilarious. Praying to God. That is, I've never heard that before. That's funny. But that said, here's the thing, okay? So she was getting adjusted. She get adjusted 12 times a year. Why 12?
That's fun.
Okay, that's what I thought too. More so than that. That's where her benefits would allow. Right, so her insurance would pay out for 12 visits a year. So because that, she would go in, she would get adjusted when she was in pain. And here's the thing, she would go in, and in the beginning, she'd be in pain, she would start getting adjusted, she'd get her 12 visits, and after 12 visits, guess what? Your body starts feeling better. Every time you get adjusted, we are moving the bones back into better alignment to restore the power from your brain to the rest of your body to help your nervous system function the way it's designed to function. Okay, it is an amazing effect, and every single time your body's getting healed. So you bet, some of you are already feeling better after one visit because your body's functioning better even after one adjustment. That's amazing here, okay? Here's the point though, is that after 12 visits, she actually feels like she's like, I feel better now. And my insurance has run out, so therefore, I'm good for a little bit. And what would happen is 6 months later or a couple of years later, she ran into that same problem over and over again. It became a yo-yo effect over the course of time. And clearly, how well did that actually help her nervous system get back to the place it's supposed to be? Does that make sense? Right? It never really did anything forward there. And that's the problem, is that we very much differ here, okay? We are one of 3 offices in the city that actually specialize in correction here. Okay, we are one of the 3 offices that actually have the equipment here necessary to help you move the bone, and our philosophy and principle is different here. I want to help you focus on getting your spine back to the best possible place. So in the beginning, does it require some extra work? Yes. But when we get your spine back to a place where you're actually just enhancing and optimizing your health because we've actually corrected all the additional concerns with your spine and your x-ray, then that's where people get to really shine. And that's amazing. I love seeing that happen, okay? And so with that, when I sat down with this lady right here, I said the same thing to her. I was like, hey, what do you see in your spine? She's like, yeah, it's bad, it's degenerating. I was like, you bet. I was like, are you ready to do something about it? She's like, yeah, I want to correct it. And so she started getting adjusted here. She started 3 days a week in the beginning for 6 weeks. Okay, she did her exercises every single day, twice a day. She was religious about it. Okay, then eventually she got down to 2 times a week and then down to 1 time a week. Okay, and so over the course of 6 months, we put her in a hard intensive care to really help her move her body to the best possible place. And I just want to show you her follow-up X-ray 6 months later. Is her body healing at this point in time in a better capacity? Yes. On top of that, here's what was really fun. Neck and back pain completely disappeared, which I expected, and it has better capacity of not ever going back to that same kind of place now with the new kind of structure to her nervous system. Does that make sense? But on top of that, here's the thing. What was really cool about this lady right here too is that she had some routine blood work done that she gets done every single year, and it just happened to fall 3 months into her care here in the clinic. She gets her blood work done. And I want to show you this, okay? If you take a look at the most amount of stress in your body, where the most amount of subluxation exists, C5, C6, C7, T1, T2. Okay, look at that chart up there. C5, C6, C7, T1, T2. Neck muscles, neck pain, I can see that for sure. Thyroid, interesting. Arms, lungs, and heart. Okay? So do you think that those areas are going to heal better if we take the pressure off those nerves and allow them to heal function? Okay, she goes to her doctor, she comes back the next day, she's like, I can't believe what my doctor told me yesterday. He's like, he's taking me off my blood pressure and my thyroid medication. She's like, on top of that, I got weight, I've lost 10 pounds in the process, I don't even know why. And I was like, I can probably tell you why. I was like, at the end of the day, she was super excited, I was excited for her, but I wasn't necessarily surprised. Because yes, along the way, we move a spine from here to here, your nervous system's gonna function better, and if there's less stress on those nerves, less subluxation, your body's designed to heal. Right? And it's less need for those external things here. Okay? And that honestly happens all the time here. Now my big disclaimer here is that I'm not allowed to take our medications, and I am not even allowed to promise you that can happen. Okay? And it's not my job, because that's not what we do here. Okay? My job is not to take out your medications. My job is to help correct your nervous system and give your body the best possible chance at healing at 100%. And because of that, as a byproduct of that, yes, your bodies can start to experience less and less need for those external things. And for some of you, or hopefully all of you, that can absolutely be the case, okay? I can't promise that, but absolutely, we're going to do everything in our power to help you heal and function at your highest capacity. Is that cool? Because once we get you back to there, once we got Judy back to here, do you think she's pretty happy with her new quality of life? How long do you think she wants her body to function the way it is right now? Till she's 90, right? Absolutely, for the rest of her life. And that's exactly it, is that at that point in time, we sat down at the end of her initial plan and we said, hey, I was like, what do you want to do here? She's like, yeah, I want to keep myself healthy. And that's the big thing there, is that, you know, this initial plan is designed to help you get back to the greatest possible place of health initially, okay? But then after that, you bet. You know, I'm going to talk about wellness with you guys, right? And that's completely your decision. But am I going to recommend you take care of your health and your nervous system for the rest of your life? Right? Are all of you going to brush your teeth for the rest of your life? Probably, because we've been told to do that, right? We've been told to keep our teeth healthy because we just want to be nice and clean. Fact of the matter is that your nervous system controls every health and healing function in your entire body. And so therefore, to keep that aligned, here's the thing, they did a study of 311 people all over the age of 65, right? Remember how many people are on medications at the age of 65? Right, as I talked about earlier, okay? Over the course of 5 years receiving maintenance care, okay? 5 years of maintenance care, these people had their health habits were radically better. I believe that to be true. 90% believe their health is extremely valuable. Statistically, 60% less hospital admissions and surgeries, and 85% less drug costs. And why is that?
That's right.
The bodies are healing from the inside out, right? And that's a fact. Who wants to live a life like this? Who wants that quality of life? And so for her, she's in, she's like, hubby, I need you to get in here and get your spine checked. So he comes in, he gets checked. He was a stubborn guy that sat right there in the front row and was like, oh, I just don't know. And eventually came in, we did a scan, found subluxation in the bottom part of his back, looked at his x-ray, sure enough, the degeneration, got that fissure in him. He's never been happy with the results he's seen. Because of that, he calls his kids up and he calls his grandkids. Well, more specifically, his kids bring in their grandkids. But their 2-year-old and 4-year-old grandson run around the clinic here once every other week to come in and get adjusted to make sure the nervous system stays functioning optimally. And that's exactly why you see lots of families in here. Is because, yes, at the end of the day, taking care of your health and taking care of your nervous system is a family affair. That's where we get to see entire families stay healthy for the rest of their life. Okay, and I love seeing that. And so yes, because of that, we check families for free. Okay, in the next 2 weeks, we will check your immediate family for free. And here's the reason why, is because I want you to take a look at this X-ray right here. What do you notice about it? Yeah, you got it. We take a look at this right here, right? You can see a big concern right here. This person right here has got a 22-degree scoliosis in his low back. On top of that, he's got a negative 7-degree curvature in his neck. Okay? Is that subluxation affecting his health? It's gotta be, right? He comes in, he's 24 years old. So 24 years old, you can see a significant problem there, okay? So 24 years old, when did it first start? How long did it take to get there? Potentially, right? We don't know for sure. Was it hereditary? Is it because he had an accident or something like that, right? Or any sort of thing. There's so many different reasons why it can happen like that, but the point of the matter is that this has been going on for so long, okay? He's got an autoimmune condition that's characterized by lupus. You guys familiar? Okay, polymyositis, which is systemic muscle deterioration, and scleroderma, which is scarring of his tissues. And because of that, this is the kid right here that couldn't participate in gym class throughout junior high and high school because of how weak his body was. Okay, how many of you guys have had to skip a workout before because you've been sore? Right, imagine your entire childhood like that. All he wants to do is play with everybody else around him. Right? So he experiences this his whole life. He gets out of school now and he's supposed to be living his prime years, right? Going to school, pursuing his career, getting his dream job, doing all these different things. And instead, he cannot maintain full-time school because he's in and out of the hospitals with his health. And so when his best friend sat right here in the doctor's report and said, holy cow, do I know somebody that you need to talk to? He comes into the clinic here and he sits down and he's like, hey, can you help me? And I was like, I can tell you right now that your spine is severely subluxated, and I can tell you that your body's designed to heal. And if we can move your spine in the right direction, your body will start healing. What that looks like, I guess we're gonna find out. But he was like, I'll do anything you say. And I was like, well, it's gonna take 3 times a week in the beginning. And he's like, that's gonna be really tough. I was like, why is that? He's like, because I live on the other end of the airport, and I don't drive. And I was like, what do you think we can do? And he's like, I'll get my mom. He called his mom, and his mom was willing to drive him down here 3 days a week, 45 minutes each way to get all the way down here for his adjustment in the beginning to start making it happen. And so he starts doing that, okay? But he went 3 days a week for 3 months. And after the first month, he is sore. He is feeling it. In fact, he feels worse. And here's the reason I bring that up here is because what do you think most people are thinking after a month of care and they are sore and they've got a new problem or something like that showing up? What do you think you're thinking? It's not working. You got it. I don't know if I can go on with this anymore. But does it look like his spine would need some work in order to shift it back to a position? Does it make sense how if we are shifting his spine back to a better position right here, that there's going to be some new tension showing up in his body, or some new stretching of the ligaments over here, or more tightening of the ones over here? Does that make sense? Right? Fact of the matter is, 1 out of 3 people will experience some sort of soreness or new pain along the way because your body is reorganizing. As your spine reorganizes itself, new things are going to show up. And I say that in advance because yes, for the 2/3 of you that don't, that's amazing. I'm so happy. But for the 30 of you that do, I need you to be fully aware of what's going on because that is a time where we got to hunker down and dig a little deeper because your body's going through a transition. Okay, so his body starts to go through a transition. He continues to work it, and eventually we get out down to 1 time a week. But over the course of a year, this is one of the toughest cases I had to deal with. This is why I bring it up because 3 times a week in the beginning, per week is about $600 a month in care for the first 3 months. And then eventually it was down to 1 day a week, so on and so forth. But over the course of 1 year, that was 80 visits. 80 visits at $45 a visit, plus home cares and extras. What do you think that measured up to? Quick math, it was just over $4,000. Okay? It doesn't matter who we are. $4,000 is a lot of money. Right? Significant investment. But that was about the time where we started to say, okay, how do we start making this more available for people? How do we start breaking these things down and making it so as opposed to this guy who works at Winners, which is terrific, but just doesn't make a ton of money necessarily. And in that moment I was like, okay, so here's the thing. We put him onto one of our wellness plans, basically our family plans, where we took the entire thing, took off a significant chunk of the x-rays, the reevals, etc., saved 5% of the whole thing, saved about $700, and then broke it over the course of 12 months, came out to about $290 a month. Now in a contract, just a way of breaking over the course of time, so it was an even thing over the course of a year. He was able to fit in his budget, he's like, I can make that work. And he stuck with it. And what happened was over the course of an entire year here, I just fast forward to his year reeval, we saw positive changes over the course of time, but at the end of the 1 year here, his negative 7-degree curve has gone up to 24 degrees. A 31-degree shift in his spine, and on top of that, his 22-degree scoliosis drops down to 14 degrees. Perfect?
How's he feeling?
How's he feeling? Great question. Okay, so with the changes in his health, the reason I share this is because you actually read his testimony on our Google page. Okay, he came off of all 13 of his autoimmune medications. They actually reversed his condition.
Wow.
Gave him back his health. Since time he's traveled to the Philippines. His favorite exercise class is spin. Actually, he loves going on a regular basis. He's found an addiction to it, and that's exciting because for him, for the first time, he gets to do the things he loves to do that he should have been doing years and years ago, right? So worth it for him? Yeah, sees the change? Absolutely, you bet. Was it an investment? 100%. But here's the thing, because of that, I take a look at this. Yes, amazing testimony, amazing story, awesome for him. And he comes back now frequently to make sure he keeps, well, right now he goes to school in Red Deer, so he gets justified there. Then he comes back in the summer, take care of his spine, we take a follow-up x-ray, his spine's getting better. His body continues to heal. That's what's fun. Here's the thing though, is that at 24 years old, like who wants their kids to ever have to go through this? Who wants anybody to have to go through this, right? It's too much. It's so much. Why did he have to experience this all the course? Like, why not when he was 10 years old? And that's exactly why, instead for us, we check families for free. And because, you know, the case in point here, the reason was I had a lady that came in with headaches, and she'd bring her 7-year-old daughter in every single time. Okay? And it only took me 2 visits of seeing the 7-year-old daughter, and I have a 7-year-old girl too. And I was like, can we check your daughter? I just need to know what her nervous system looks like. I just need to make sure she's healing properly. Right? She's like, but she doesn't have anything wrong. She's got no symptoms. I was like, I know, but you never know. And so because of that, let's get it checked. And sure enough, we did a scan. She had a red bar coming up there. So I took an x-ray. And this is her spine at that point in time.
7 years old.
7 years old. Right? So when is the right time to take a look?
Yeah.
As early as possible. Right? Absolutely. And because when we see this right here, and I take a look at that, and I say, okay, Mom, look at this. We got something going on. No symptoms right now, but I don't want to know what this looks like when she's 25 years old. And because that nice thing is kids are moldable. And so after a short period of time, we get her spine to look like this. Which one's got the better outlook on the rest of her life? Plain as day, right? Plain as day. Here's the point. Okay? The point is that either what I've taught you today is a complete lie, or it's one of the most important things you can do for your health and your family's health. Right? And that's exactly it. That's exactly why I check families for free, is because I want to remove every single objection as to why we wouldn't get your families checked, just to make sure that they are healing and moving themselves in a positive direction for the rest of their life. Because that's why I exist. That's why I come to work every single day. That's why every single one of my kids was checked the day they were born, and they've been adjusted since, to make sure. And this is the way we take care of our health now. And we eat organic foods and we exercise, and we make sure our nervous systems are always healing and functioning at 100%. Okay? And so with that, we're going to jump back right now. Go take a look at your x-rays. Couple things about your x-rays. When we take a look at what's going on there, first thing is that I can tell you right now, across the board, the people's up here with their testimonials, etc., having seen so many people, I can tell you right now, the people that come in, they make their visits, they don't miss any, and if they do miss one, they make it up right away. Or I can tell you right now, Jaylene and Amanda are your advocates for health. They're going to be right there with you the whole time. And if you are an hour away and you are not going to make your appointment, you can send them a text message and they will get you reset up for 20 minutes later or whatever. We try to make sure, we try to be flexible with your schedule, a lot less flexible with your frequency though, because I want to make sure you're doing what you need to be doing to get your spine back to the best health place. So do your exercises, make your visits, and be on top of that, because those people get the best results by a long shot, okay? Yes, we can check family, absolutely. You can get the sign-up papers for that afterwards from Jaylene. But then on top of that, here's the thing, right? Is that we're on a mission. I can tell you right now that my life was changed. My life was changed by one conversation in a tire shop of all places, right? I want all of you right now to think, is the information I shared today could probably benefit somebody else that you know? Yes? And that's just it. Right, is that for us, it's a matter of making sure that one more person gets to hear about an alternative to their health, that they can go about managing their health in a better and more positive way. And so the people that you're thinking right now, there's absolutely an opportunity for that. We do what's known as a dinner with the doc. And it doesn't matter if they're here or if they're in Toronto or down in Florida. We have over 400 clinics across the continent that do this kind of work right here. Okay, we will find them a clinic for them, because it's not about this clinic, it's about making sure that your loved ones are taken care of and getting healthy, okay? I had a mom come in, she was getting adjusted here, and she was bugging her daughter on a regular basis. She's like, you need to come in. Her daughter's an adult, so she makes her own decisions, lives on her own, right? But she's like, you need to get in here to come to this doctor so you can learn about health. But her daughter was like, what is my problems have to do with anything related to chiropractic? She's like, honey, could you just come to the dinner? And she finally convinced her to come to the dinner. I sat down with this girl at dinner and we explained to her about what health was, and she's like, okay. She's like, I'm willing to take a shot here. And so she comes in and she starts getting adjusted, okay? And this daughter starts getting adjusted. What happened was that she got adjusted for the month of October, but I was expecting her to take a month off in September, because in September was when she was expected to have her 3rd surgery for a brain tumor that continues to come back. And they've had to come in and cut it out every single time, and then eventually it goes back and they have to go and do it on a routine basis, okay? And after a month, she goes in to see the surgeon to find out when her appointment was, and she was going to come back and let me know. And she came back and let me know instead. She's like, hey, I want you to know they've actually canceled this surgery. It's actually healing on its own. They don't know why. But what was really cool as well is that this individual girl, on top of that, never thought that she'd be able to have kids because of the radiation that she's experienced over the course of time. And just last week, this girl was in my clinic, and she told me that she's pregnant with her first. Okay? And so with that, you know, it's just our way of reaching out. We want to make sure the people you know in your life are taken care of, getting healthy, and moving in the right direction. Okay? So I appreciate you guys' time today. We're going to jump back right now. We'll take a look at your x-rays. We'll get you your home care kit set up, and we'll get you on your road. Cool? Awesome.
Thanks.
Annette is first.
Annette is first? Awesome.
So, go back there.
Annette, you're going to come with me right here. Absolutely.